little bit about gerrymandering. Are you familiar with gerrymandering?
Yes.
Okay, so we know what it is, right? So this is the
Yeah.
practice of drawing electoral district boundaries in a way to favor a particular political party. And it is not, I do not want to be of a mind where it's like only Republicans do this. No, Democrats have done it too, and it's not good for anybody. Gerrymandering is uh, it's a terrible practice because what it does, it seeks to usurp what our government is all about, and that is the people's voice, right? That the for the people, by the people. And if you are drawing lines to favor a particular political party, then you are actively fighting against what we say and who we say we are. So this practice is it typically follows red lines. Believe it or not, like those districts get sliced up, and you're going to see in a couple slides, these districts are so weird that some of them are no wider than the length of a highway. That is bananas. So you are very, very clearly selecting which parts and cherry picking which parts of the community you want to be a part of a particular district. It is just, it's wild. But this is done to diminish the voting power of minority communities, typically by splitting them across multiple districts, which makes it exponentially harder for them to elect representatives of their choosing. So this infographic, and if it's kind of weird to you and it doesn't make a lot of sense, I'm not gonna lie, it took me forever before I fully understood what was happening here. So this shows compares fair and gerrymandered ways to divide 50 people into 5 districts. So the first one where you see it says fair, you see you've got 3 oranges and 2 purples, which makes sense because it's split in lines that make sense, right? If you look at the gerrymandering where it's not proportional to the electorate, you see that it's split up in ways where you have disproportionate numbers of oranges over purples or more purples over oranges. So now those folks do not have the representation that they should have because their districts were split in a way to make it unfair. What is interesting is that this happens everywhere. And people are constantly contesting this, both on the Democratic and Republican side. It's not good either way because what it is it's the bastardization of democracy. That's really what this is. So this is showing heavily gerrymandered districts across the US. And again, this is that manipulation to get your favored party's voices a little bit louder, a little bit stronger. It happened in Georgia, it's happened in Rhode Island, it's happened in Florida, Texas, North Carolina, all over the place you see this happening. And people continuously fight against it. Alaska, this has been a pretty contentious issue, not gonna lie to you. This has happened in well, they tried to make it happen in Alaska, and to give a long story short, they wanted to take, are you familiar with Eagle River?
Somewhat. Yes.
Okay, so it's pretty solidly Republican, right? And then you come into Anchorage and you get a few more like Democratic districts that are strongly Democratic, right? They tried to extend Eagle River borders, like their boundaries over into Anchorage so that they could scoop up some of those Democratic blocks or yeah, the Dem blocks and push them over into the Republican voting block so that the votes would be a little bit more diluted, but people saw right through that. So here's the map of how it was. So you've got Eagle River, you've got J Bear, which is the Joint Air Force and Army base, and then you have South Muldoon, and you have again, more of Eagle River. So they tried to take all of this and then scooch it over into Muldoon, into South Muldoon, which South Muldoon is typically you're going to see brown and black folks there more often than not. And Anchorage wasn't having it. And this is an area with just 57 people. Like, what are you doing? You think we're blind and foolish and dumb? No, we can read. We can see what's happening. So what they were trying to do was called district packing and splitting. They wanted to strategically back into the districts where the population could determine the outcome. And like I said, people saw this for what it was and went to town. It's not always how it works though. It's not, especially when you have a population of folks that is disenfranchised, lower education, and those people are working 2 and 3 jobs. They are not paying attention. And again, through no fault of their own. It's not like they just don't care because they don't care. They're focused on survival. These are the people, let's run it back. These are the people whose kids got kicked out of preschool. So now they got to find another place to get their kid in pre-K. And they got to go to work. And they got to make sure their high school kid is doing okay. And they've got, you know what I mean? Like they've stuff after stuff after stuff. And we just talked about how this summer in Anchorage is one of the most violent summers in history, in Alaskan history. And people have stuff on their minds. They're not thinking about this stuff, which again is why we consistently say, give yourself a little bit of grace if you're not as familiar with this. So it's all connected. I love this meme because this dude looks insane, but it's all connected. And one of the things that when you see people advocating against this kind of education and against these kinds of conversations, they will try to engage you in crazy making behavior and say stuff like, that doesn't have anything to do with this. They will gaslight the tar out of you. No, that's not how that works. That's not what they were doing. Oh, no. Once you know something, you cannot unknow it.